Ladies and gentlemen, introducing first at 265 pounds from Paradise City, Brody Chase. And introducing his opponent, making his way into the ring area at 242 pounds from Ackworth, Georgia, USA, a great American, Ranger Ross.
We were talking earlier about the wrestling hotline. We hope you'll call us. Programming changes each and every day. The number 1-900-909-9900. I'm going to have some specific comments to make about Starrcade, or excuse me, about Wrestle War.
I want to make a comment. What was that? What was woman trying to convey to Ric Flair?
Sounds to me like she's making some type of business arrangement or some type of opportunity for Flair and the Horsemen. Apparently she wants to manage the affairs of the Horsemen, which they've never had a manager of her that looked like her also.
Okay, let's get back to it. The 25th, February. Jim Ross, you've been an official, basketball, football. How much does the hometown mean to you? We'll go into Flair's backyard. It's Greensboro. If Flair does go into Greensboro as the world champion, if Luger doesn't unseat him, and it is Flair and Sting in Greensboro, how much is the crowd going to help Flair?
Well, they say that in NFL, the home team has a 3.5-point advantage automatically by playing at home. February 25th just happens to be the birthday of Nature Boy Ric Flair. Could that be an omen? But he has had his greatest conquest, in my opinion, in Greensboro Coliseum. That's where he beat Harley Race in a cage with Gene Kaninsky as the referee to win the World's Heavyweight Championship on one of his 6 occasions. It will mean a great deal. And I think that it may be just enough to pull the Nature Boy through. But as we said, he's got a long way to go before February 25th. We're about we're looking at 6 weeks away from that situation.
We certainly are. First of all, let's not forget one thing. We have a clash in Corpus Christi where 6 men are going to be in a cage. Anything could happen in that cage. I mean, a man could be injured permanently that he wouldn't make it to February 25th. But in my mind, if it does come down to Sting and Flair, February 25th, the Horsemen can't lose. It's going to stay in the family. But what I see the man that strikes early, like I said. No one's ever been able, let me retract that. People have been able to reverse the figure 4, Jim.
Yes.
I have never seen the Scorpion reversed or gut knocked.
Neither have I.
I'm saying...
Oh, Ranger Ross, high cross body, may pin Brody Chase here. Got 2, Kevin. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm saying that if Sting works on Flair's legs, no matter how great a shape he is in, and everybody knows the legendary shape that Flair is in, I'm saying that if Sting strikes early, that we may have a new champion in Greensboro.
Very easily could happen. We're going to keep our eye closely on that situation. I think personally that Sting and Flair have no business in a cage match on the Clash of Champions in Corpus Christi. You don't put yourself into that violent physical environment inside the steel and then on 19 days later go into a World's Championship match, if it is that, for those two. I think that that's a mistake, but the contract is signed, and we know they're not going to back out of that. So the cage match will happen on the Clash live here on TBS on February 6th.
You're exactly right. And Jim, early in the show, you mentioned that I do some things for money sometimes that you're not proud of me for. There's a lot of guys out there that do things for money. You don't think a Buzz Sawyer wouldn't do something for money?
Of course he would.
If Lex Luger came up to him and said, hey, I want Sting or I want Flair's arm?
Of course he would. There's no doubt about that.
See, I think they're in double jeopardy right here. I think that when we go to Corpus Christi the 6th, somebody's going to come out of there with an injury, and the guy with the less injury is going to win in Greensboro.
Very interesting analogy as Ranger Ross works on the wrist lock of Brody Chase. And, of course, I'm sure we'll spend much more time analyzing the what-ifs and what could happen, all the supposition that we can think of prior to February 25th. But really, a lot of the cards will be played, of course, on February 6th. But in every night that you have the chance to see a Ric Flair or a Sting in action, they put themselves in jeopardy going into February 25th. Lex Luger as well. I think Luger is very resourceful. I'm not going to be surprised at February 25th that Lex Luger could be the man standing across from Sting or from Ric Flair if Sting is unable to perform on that occasion.
I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%. And, you know, just looking at some of the towns we have coming up. Baltimore, Maryland. Baltimore, Maryland has always been a big town for
That's
Lex
a week
Luger.
from tonight in Baltimore.
That's always been a big town for Lex Luger. Lex Luger has taken a killer instinct. And I don't care about the thing, and I don't care about the Four Horsemen, but I'm just making an observation. They better watch in Baltimore. Something could happen.
Ranger Ross with a body slam, lateral press. Referee got 2 out of it. Ranger Ross, the outstanding competitor who we have seen improve each and every week. The young man that has taken his lumps much like a Lee Scott. But he has progressed and worked hard and trained. He has not given up and showed that great American fighting spirit that got him an accommodation from President Ronald Reagan. Inside cradle almost got him a victory there. We'll see that Lee Scott Cactus Jack Manson confrontation. Should be most interesting. A little bit later in the program, Brody Chase sent for the ride, and Ranger Ross nails him downstairs. Ranger Ross has got one great asset for sure going for him, and that's the combat kick. That is his equalizer.
It certainly is, Jim. And there's another thing that this Ranger Ross has gone for.
Going for the pins, what he's going for here, Kevin, but he couldn't get it.
He knows the basics. When a guy's down, you go to try to cover him. The name of the game is you pin the man. I see a lot of guys that knock guys down, don't try to pin them. Ranger Ross, fundamentally sound. We are watching a superstar gonna bud.
I'll tell you something, the lateral presser, Brody Chase, we've seen him compete here on many occasions. But Ranger Ross is a young man that you've got to admire his attitude. He's got that infectious personality. Another of the men that in the NWA, much like Sting and Flying Brian and the Z-Man, the dudes that spend a lot of time with underprivileged groups and children's hospitals. We don't take our cameras there to document it and commercialize their true feelings. And there's the combat kick. There are no true feelings in the face now of Brody Chase. The combat kick.
I guess that's why you're the voice of professional wrestling. You call that one, Jimbo.
Fans, we will be back with Dr. Death, but right now let's hear from Sting.